first W for the CHGO Blackhawks podcast. A big win for the Blackhawks tonight, topping the Anaheim Ducks 8-3. This is the CHGO Blackhawks postgame podcast presented by PointsBet. Use promo code CHGO when you sign up to live your bet life. My name is Mario Tirabassi. That is Greg Boysen, and you just watched the Blackhawks obliterate the Anaheim Ducks 8-3, a franchise record for goals against Anaheim for Chicago, and a career-high 6-point night for Patrick Kane. Greg, probably one of the best games the Blackhawks have put together all season, and it came at probably the right time.
Yeah, I'm going to go out on the record and say that was the best game of the Kyle Davidson era.
Yep.
The best game of the CHGO era.
Yep.
That was fun. They had to make things interesting there in the gooey center of that game. We were joking while watching the game that like somehow when it was 5-0, I told you, I said somehow the Ducks are going to have their goalie pulled with like 2 minutes to go, and we're going to be sweating this one out.
Yeah.
It almost happened there, but Dylan Strome, man, when you are hot.
When you are hot.
Red hot. Like Dylan Strome, this kid is just, he's making his case and pretty much demanding that he gets that qualifying offer from the Blackhawks. And right now, I mean, this has been a topic we've talked about. So we're only 4 shows in, but I can always say we've already talked ad nauseum about Dylan Strome, but keep him. Give him that offer. At this point, there's no discussion for that anymore.
Yeah, that entire line, Strome, Kane, and DeBrincat, were just absolutely buzzing tonight, and they were the reason that the Blackhawks won this game tonight. They combined for I think 14 points total in the night. Dylan Strome got a hat trick. Again, Patrick Kane a career high 6 points, a goal and 5 primary assists. None of the secondary assists. All primary assists tonight for Patrick Kane and the goal as well. So I mean, that's the line. DeBrincat, Strome, and Kane. If that's your top line going into next season, meaning that obviously you're keeping Patrick Kane, obviously you're keeping Alex DeBrincat, and you're keeping Dylan Strome, I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that as the top line going into next season, and build behind it from there. And like you said, we've been discussing Dylan Strome and his future pretty much the entire season. Yeah. I think what we've been seeing in the last couple of games, the last few weeks, where he's been put into a position to have success, he's put between players that are going to set him up for success, and he can also set them up to as well. He has that ability in him. You see him used the right way. He was great at the faceoff dot. At one point, I think he won his first 8 or 9 straight faceoffs. Like everything's kind of coming together for him. And yeah, you can make the argument and say his trade value probably will never be higher. But I think we're starting to see again, what we saw when he first came to the Blackhawks in 2018-19, where he's playing with teammates that A, he's familiar with Alex DeBrincat, and B, he just meshes well with a guy like Patrick Kane. And Patrick Kane can make a lot of players look good, but it says something when Dylan Strome can go out and actually make some plays himself. So I'm with you. I'm saying, you know what? He's playing at a high level. He's in the right position. He's playing like at least a $4 million player, right?
Absolutely.
And that his qualifying offer is being a $3.6 million qualifying offer.
You take that, and you run away before he says no. You got to. And you mentioned his first season here. He had all this success playing with DeBrincat and Kane, and then we've been screaming for the last 2 years with him back for whatever reason. Jeremy Colleton refused to do it.
Where he goes.
Derek King refused to do it for a while. Now it's like, why won't you put the guy where he does the best? It's been infuriating, and now he's back with his 2 guys. And 14 points from that line. Maybe it works. Maybe let them run and go with it and figure out the other 9 spots.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you can say like, oh, the Ducks, they're in a downswing now as after having a hot start to the season. But I mean, you put up 8 points in an NHL game. On most nights, putting up 8 goals in an NHL game is is a rarity. But we'll talk about it later. This was a wild night across the league.
Absolutely.
This Blackhawks game included. But the first period, the Blackhawks get out to a 5-0 lead. The first time that they've done that.
Oh, they just scored again.
And they scored again. So that's a
John Gibson must have been back in the game now.
Yeah, chalk it up a ninth one there. But this just the second time since 2000 that the Blackhawks have had a 5-0 lead after the first period of play. It was an incredible start to the game. We were watching it here, and it was just like you'd watch the game. You'd look at your computer or your phone for half a second, and then you look up, oh, they scored again. Oh, they scored again. It was just everything was just rolling. And since we've been doing this CHGO podcast, we've only had one good first period.
Right.
And I think this was obviously the best start to a game that we've seen recently, and probably that we've seen all season. And it's something that the Blackhawks have had a very hard time doing, not just this year, but historically.
Yeah, it reminded me, that first period reminded me of that 2013 team. Just like, yeah, you mentioned the Ducks are a struggling team, but, the way the Hawks played that first period, they dominated. They were passing. The puck was on the string. They were toying with Anaheim that first period. It reminded me of that dominant run to start that 2013 lockout season. It was fun. And there hasn't been a lot of that.
No.
They had that great first period against Tampa Bay, but what did it get them? Only one goal, and they ended up losing 6-3. And for a while there, they got that early goal, and then that power play they got. They had
a couple
DeBrincat miss in that, and then it was Tyler Johnson got robbed, I believe.
Yeah.
And then you got that feeling again, like, man, if they don't get another goal or two in this period, it's going to be deja vu. And then all of a sudden, it was like, oh, okay, this is a thing. Here's Ryan Carpenter scoring.
Yep.
Jonathan Toews with a classic shorthanded goal. I mean, it was like, man, I don't know whatever the pregame meal was today, but that needs to be on the menu for the rest of the season. Because
see if they can get that in Boston.
Yeah, it was one of the rare times where it was like 7:30 puck drop, and the Blackhawks were there at 7:30.
They were ready to go.
So many times this year, it's been they don't show up to 7:45, 8:15.
Yeah,
sometimes not at all. So,
sometimes they miss it completely.
And except for a little sleepy bit in that second period, they gave up 2 goals in 40 seconds, I think it was. They got that 6-0 lead 19 seconds into the period, and
Brandon Hagel.
Brandon Hagel, we love him. He got me a bet win on sports bet.
There you go.
Or on points bet. Sorry.
Points bet. Yep.
We got to get that right.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's natural. You get a big lead. Sometimes you take your foot off the gas, but then they were able to get it back, and that was the key. They let Anaheim back in the game with those 3 goals, but then they got it back, and then they dominated that third period essentially. So great start. We've been talking all year, and not only just here, but wherever we've been all season long on Twitter.
Yeah,
got to play 60 minutes. Got to play 60 minutes. Well, we got like 56 minutes tonight. And that's as good as it's been all season long.
They got the important minutes.
Yeah,
they got a great start in the first period, and the second period got away from them, and we were sweating it out a little bit, and having some fun online. There's no way they can blow a 6-0 lead, could they? And then
they never
never make it easy.
They've never blown a 6-0 lead. So that record is still intact. They made us nervous there for a second.
We'll keep.
They made us nervous there for a second.
Intact. Yeah, and then they close out in the third period, and Dylan Strome gets his hat trick. 6 goals in his last 3 games for Dylan Strome. So he was obviously one of the 3 stars of the night. So we'll go to our CHGO 4th star of the night. This is the first time we've done it where we've had any Blackhawks on the 3-star sheets, and they were all Blackhawks tonight. So it was Jake McCabe was the 3rd star, Dylan Strome with his hat trick, and 4-point night was the 2nd star. Obviously Patrick Kane, the 1st star of the game with his career best 6-point night. So, Greg, who was your CHGO 4th star of the night?
It's nice that we finally get to do this the way we want to do it, because the idea of this was to pick a guy that didn't get that recognition and we thought we wanted to give him a shout out.
Right.
It's kind of the unsung hero of the game.
Trying to dig deep down the lineup. Yeah.
Right. And, the guys at the United Center actually picked my guy because I thought for sure it was going to be that entire top line.
Yep.
I was going to say Jake McCabe. He had 2 assists. He had a couple of real good scoring chances too. Was active, but then they picked him the third star. It must have been the Mick in his name on Irish Green Hat Night that got him that bid. So, then the obvious choice is Alex DeBrincat, a goal and 3 assists. I mean, he's driving that line. Just Kaner had the 5 primary assists, but DeBrincat with 3 assists tonight and a goal, and that's points in 4 straight games according to my little stat sheet here.
Yeah.
And I like to see the assists because we know he can do that too. We all know he's an elite goal scorer, been one of the best snipers in the league the last 3 seasons, but it's nice to see him set up his guys. And when you got Patrick Kane on the ice, it's easy to get a lot of secondary assists. If he's not passing it to you, it's the red-hot Dylan Strome. It's easy to pick up those apples. And big game from the Cat, but, it's getting to the point where we were talking earlier in the year that, Kane or DeBrincat was the secondary star, and Patrick Kane was the superstar on this team. And this year it's kind of flipped roles where now Alex DeBrincat's become the superstar and Kane has become the secondary star. But now Kane's kind of like, not so fast. Don't forget about me.
Yeah.
He's been elite level Hall of Fame Patrick Kane these last 4 or 5 games or more. He's been red hot since after the All-Star break. So the Blackhawks have 2 superstars right now, and just ride them out, see what happens. It's fun. We've mentioned before, wins and losses don't matter at this point, but let's have some fun.
Every now and then you want to have some fun, and every now and then you like to have...
you could be bad. Just entertain me. And right now, that line is entertaining the crap out of me. Let's just roll it.
Absolutely, yeah. And every now and then you got to have a game like this where it's just like you can kind of release some of those frustrations to be like, oh, like that was well worth the 3 hours
Hockey's
of my night.
It's supposed to be fun.
Exactly.
It's okay to have fun every once in a while.
Exactly. So, yeah, DeBrincat is Greg's pick, the 4-point night. Pretty hard to argue against that, but I'm going to go with a guy who did not show up on the score sheet tonight, but I think was all over the ice, was around the puck a lot, and that would be Sam Lafferty. He's a guy that I think the Blackhawks, it's really an easy choice to bring him back because he's that kind of energy player, the kind of guy that when you're going through a rebuilding progression, those are the kind of guys that they're young-ish. He just turned 27. Cheap. You could probably get him for basically league minimum on a 1-year deal next year. He's a penalty killer. He's a guy that's going to play in your bottom 6. He's going to give you a lot of speed, a lot of energy, a lot of effort. Might not get a lot of points, but someone that can play that role. And he was very noticeable tonight, even though he didn't get on the score sheet. Had a 2-on-1 with Ryan Carpenter in the game, a shorthanded 2-on-1. Wasn't able to convert, but I think he put in a great performance in a game that was obviously highlighted by the top line. So between Sam Lafferty, who was rustling it up there with as an energy player, or Alex DeBrincat, who had 4 points, I mean, I like my pick, but I will easily concede to the guy who probably should have been one of the original 3 stars tonight.
I think that's a no-brainer. Lafferty, we mentioned it the other day. Next year's roster, it's not going to be complete young guys. A lot of these guys, in Rockford still need some seasoning. And a lot of the guys that are going to be part of this team when they're back to being perennial playoff teams haven't even been drafted yet. So
Nope.
You're going to need guys like Sam Lafferty. And so I think he's a good pick to have next year on your bottom 6 and just roll with it. Nice to see him. He brings his speed is the most noticeable aspect of his game, and you can never have too much of that in today's NHL. But as we said, nice effort by Lafferty. But I mean, 4 points from DeBrincat.
Yeah, easily.
Why is he even up for consideration as the 4th star? But that's the no-brainer. So sorry, Dylan. Dylan Strome's undefeated run of back-to-back CHGO 4 stars has come to an end. But
Alex DeBrincat,
you're our CHGO 4th star of the game.
So Alex, we'll get a shirt your way pretty soon, but yes. That'll go nicely with the all the starter starter jackets that the Blackhawks rolled out today.
Yeah.
Those were
We'll trade them some of our merch for one of them.
Yeah,
satin
little
jackets.
merch swap. We can do that.
And if you want that sweet Blackhawks shirt, make sure you sign up, become a member over at CHGO, and you're going to get to pick any one of our awesome dope merch, as our buddy Luke Stuckmeyer on the Cubs show likes to say. But sign up, become a CHGO member, help us out. You'll get a free shirt. You get to pick anyone you want. You know you're going to want that Blackhawks, that awesome logo right there on your screen. That comes to you on a just beautiful red T-shirt, or you can get one of our CHGO logo shirts. They look really cool with the Chicago flag on them.
Yep, or any of the other great podcasts you listen to on CHGO.
We're out there. It is. Look at that. That's wonderful.
Look at that's a beautiful logo there.
Yeah, get yourself that.
Really pops.
It's the best deal in the city. It's the best deal in Chicago sports going right now, and just sign up. It's cheap, $4.99 a month, I believe, is your deal. Then you're gonna get your free shirt. You're gonna get on our private members only Discord channel. There's a lot of fun going on there. You can talk to not only us here on the Blackhawks beat, but all of our coverage. All of our writers and personalities are active. And then you're going to get some exclusive written content heading your way too. So
absolutely,
it's the best deal. Just for the shirt alone, I'd sign up.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I'm looking forward to getting our dope merch in the mail and start repping it on the show.
I mean, I wasn't going to take this job till they showed me the T-shirt, and I was like, all right, I got it.
I said that's some dope merch.
Yep. I said, you know what? The opportunity sounds great, but until I get some dope merch, I'm staying right where I'm at.
Absolutely. And if you enjoy CHGO, one way to help us continue to grow is to download the PointsBet app. Use the promo code CHGO when you sign up. Not only are you going to get 2 risk-free bets for up to $2,000, but if you make a $50 or more first-time deposit, you will receive a free CHGO membership, which unlocks all of our web content, and you'll even get a free shirt of your choice from the CHGO locker. So another way to get some free merchandise is to go through the PointsBet app. If you have any questions, email pointsbet@allchgo.com, and we'll be happy to help you out. And in case you missed it, online sign-up is available in Illinois. You can actually download the PointsBet app right now and register your account from start to finish, all from your phone. So what are you waiting for? Once the game starts, don't just bet. Live your bet life with PointsBet. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700. So yeah, the Blackhawks roll tonight 8-3 over the Ducks. Marc-Andre Fleury had a pretty decent night, 29 saves on 32 shots. Kind of gets overlooked with the 8-goal performance, but a pretty good performance from him after having a not so good performance against the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Really quickly, Greg sees your comment and he appreciates it.
Yes, this is one of my favorite shirts. If you think this one's great, just stick around for the rest of the season. I got a whole closet full of stuff that's just it's my gimmick. So yeah, thank you for the shirt, love. I appreciate it.
It's very eclectic.
It's actually, this shirt was given to me by a big Ducks fan in LA, so I'm wearing it since they're playing the Ducks. So if Mike is watching, shout out to you. Thanks
shout
for
out
the
to
shirt,
Mike,
buddy.
the Ducks fan.
Yes, sorry about the beating, but thanks for the shirt.
Sorry about your 8-3 loss, but yeah, the shirt looks
thanks
good.
for the 2 points and the super cool shirt. We appreciate that.
So yeah, I bring up Marc-Andre Fleury because he had a little bit of a bounce back effort tonight, and didn't have a really great outing against the Tampa Bay Lightning, but not many people do. He's the subject of a lot of trade rumors, and we talked about it on the last podcast. Does he want to go anywhere? Will he accept a trade anywhere? Are the Blackhawks, going to be, I don't want to say forced to honor their own, handshake agreement, but kind of forced to do that, because when Fleury got here, it was, hey, we know you have a 10-team no trade list, but if you don't want to go anywhere, we're not going to make you go anywhere. Right. We talked about it on a previous podcast, how Toronto kind of feels like a team that might be a good trade partner to get Fleury, and now it seems like that that idea is picking up steam. Just recently, Frank Saravalli of the Daily Faceoff mentioned that Chicago and Toronto could be a trade partner. Obviously, this only works if Marc-Andre Fleury accepts the trade offer, but it seems like Toronto now, and you saw tonight, they had a win against the Kraken, but it wasn't easy. They're a team that can score a lot of goals, obviously, but they have some holes defensively, and Jack Campbell is not looking really solid now as we get down to the playoff push. I'll say it again: should Marc-Andre Fleury be looked at as a potential trade piece with the Toronto Maple Leafs?
Well, if I'm Toronto, absolutely yes. But I would think, again, let's just go hypothetically that Marc-Andre Fleury will accept a trade, and then let's also then add on to that Toronto is not on that team no trade list, because they would be on my 10-team no trade list. I mean, I wouldn't want to deal with that, pressure.
It's a lot of pressure, yeah.
Are they a good team? Absolutely, but there's a lot of extracurricular activities that come along when you're especially if you're a goaltender on the Maple Leafs. So let's just hypothetically say yes, he'll take a trade, and no, the Maple Leafs aren't on that no trade list. I think that actually makes the most sense of all the other teams we've heard. Washington, Pittsburgh were the early trade rumors. I think that those have kind of fallen to the wayside. We heard a lot about the Oilers. They would be a good fit, but I mean, are the Oilers even really contenders at this point?
They're
Avalanche,
they're fighting for it,
right? I mean, he could be the guy that puts them over, but what are the Oilers going to give up? The Avalanche, sure, they can use an upgrade in goaltending, but they don't really have anything that the Blackhawks should be just jumping overjoyed to get. They don't have a lot of draft picks. That most of their best young players are already in the league, so they're not. You're not going to get you're not going to get a Cale Makar for Marc-Andre Fleury. I mean, if that's an offer, you take it before Joe Sakic sobers up. So Toronto, that sounds like a great scenario. They need a goaltending upgrade. Jack Campbell, started off great, but Jack Campbell is
coming back down to earth, again. I think, yeah.
I mean, I know Toronto was excited and they thought they had their goalie, but I mean, I think a lot of us knew that, like, hey, let's see where we are about this time of year if we're still on the Jack Campbell train.
Right.
They could use some defense too. Blackhawks have some defensemen they'd like to move.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to throw in a Calvin DeHaan into a Fleury trade, maybe get an extra mid-round pick back from them. I have no problem with that.
The Maple Leafs are in a mode where they have to do this. They need, if Marc-Andre Fleury is going to put you over the top to get you not only past the first round, but get you to a Stanley Cup final, you have to make that move, and you got to give up whatever it takes to do it. They would be the most desperate team to get a Marc-Andre Fleury. And they've got some nice young players. The guy that pops up in my mind is Nick Robertson. Get him, and you can have Marc-Andre Fleury and any defenseman you want if you throw him in the trade with another draft pick. That's a team that is in desperation mode, especially if Campbell continues to struggle over these next couple of games. That could work out real well. But again, we don't know if Marc-Andre Fleury will accept any trade, and we don't know if the Maple Leafs are on that 10-team trade list. But if both of those things work out, I think it's a no-brainer. And yes, January, we know you don't want to trade Fleury, but we got to think big picture here. We got to hop on the ride of the rebuild. And sorry, we all love Marc-Andre Fleury, but he can come back as our goalie coach in a couple of years when he retires. I'd be fine with that, but we got to hop on the ride. We got to look forward.
Yeah.
And if there's a trade available that helps you 3 years, 2 years down the road, you got to make it.
Absolutely. And what's interesting with the potential of Fleury going to Toronto is that obviously if the Maple Leafs, they're up against the cap. So you got to make the cap situation work. Chicago can retain up to 50% of Fleury's cap hit, making it 3.5 instead of 7. If you get, a third team involved, it complicates things, but it makes it better for Toronto.
The Arizona Coyotes. They seem to always be that third team.
And a team like Arizona could
send them a 5th-round pick to retain a little salary.
Facilitate, more retention of salary. make it a little bit cheaper in cap dollars to the Maple Leafs, and it makes it even better of a deal for them, and then makes it more likely that they'll send another pick or another mid-level or better prospect the Blackhawks way. The other part is the Blackhawks could take back money from the Maple Leafs, and they have a goalie right now that is not doing so hot and is taking up $3.8 million of cap hit, not only through next season, but through the 2023-24 season, and that's Peter Mrazek. And that was also mentioned in Frank Saravalli's report that Mrazek could be a player to come back to Chicago because Chicago doesn't have a legit NHL goaltender on their books beyond this season.
Right.
So, I think we've talked about it before. Goaltending is not really a position that rebuilding teams should be spending money on. I think if you have a Peter Mrazek come back in that kind of deal at $3.8 million, it's a guy who's shown that he can start in the NHL. Maybe he's not the best option, but he's probably better than they have in the pipeline right now, and at least on the books. Would you go Soderblom, Lankinen? Would you go Lankinen, Mrazek? Like, I think if you ask me, in a hypothetical deal in which Peter Mrazek's coming back, I'm not losing my mind over it, because he's not a guy who's going to, like we've said, he's one of these players that won't be around when they're contending again. Right. It's a stopgap position.
And you could do worse, and he could be fine. He could be a guy that he's making a reasonable cap hit for a 1A or 1B possible starter, but he's a guy that has shown in the past that he can be a pretty good starter in this league. So you get him, you bring him in, and then who knows, by next trade deadline, maybe he's having a career season, and you flip him for more prospects, more picks. I would have zero problems bringing Mrazek back in that trade if he was part of it, because you do need a goalie for the short term. You're still trying to figure out who your long-term goalie is. We talked about Lankinen, probably not the long-term guy we maybe thought he was, but give him some more time. Soderblom's been very good. Drew Commesso is the guy that the franchise is hanging their hat on. Second-round pick. We got from the Vegas Knight pick in the Robert Leonard trade, but he's 3, 4, 5 years away from even really contending for a starter spot. So Mrazek would be that perfect rebuild goalie that you might be able to flip for something good down the road, and you're not paying a ton of money for a team that's going to have a ton of money coming off the books here in the next year or two. So I'd be fine with that. And a little spoiler alert, I'm working on a piece for CHGO.com about this exact scenario. Who should be the two goaltenders for next season? So keep your eyes open for that. And become a member as well. And I'm sure it's something we're going to discuss quite a bit between now and puck drop of opening night next October.
Absolutely, yeah. And it's trade season, it's silly season. Again, this could all be for naught, and Marc-Andre Fleury could have said, "Hey, I don't want to go anywhere."
Right.
So we'll see what happens, but we got 13 days till trade deadline. 12 and a half days because it's in the afternoon of the 21st. But March 21st, NHL trade deadline day. It's going to be a big day, and we are going to see what the future of the Blackhawks looks like under the Kyle Davidson era. So that'll be the first real litmus test to see what he has, skills wise of building a roster, and that'll be the first step forward.
Yep, it's going to be tough for Kyle because I think there's going to be a lot of these veteran GMs that are going to try and get the best of him. So we're going to get a taste of what he can pull off, and we've said this before. Again, please, Blackhawk fans, do not rate the Kyle Davidson era on what he does between now and March 21st. He's got a lot of work to do. These are just the first layers of the onion skin he's peeling away here. So don't, if you hate what he does, don't start the Fire Davidson hashtag. That is just insane at this point. And if you love what he does, don't anoint him the greatest GM of all time. There's a lot of work to be done. This is just the first baby steps of a long road. But it's time to hop on the ride. Hop on that ride. We are all in.
So we got a question here online from Twitter here from Madeline. Wanted to. It's a multi-part question, so we'll try and get to all of them. First question is, do you guys like Brandon Hagel? Disclaimer: yes, we like Brandon Hagel. We're not saying you need to trade Brandon Hagel, but if the offer's there, maybe you do it. But we don't want to trade Brandon Hagel unless we have to. Are you guys happy that Doc is now on the wing? I know both of us have in the past said that Kirby Doc should be playing on the wing. It's not likely that he's the top line center that the Blackhawks had hoped he would be when they picked him third overall. Tonight he was on the wing with Brandon Hagel and Jonathan Toews on the second line. I think he didn't show up on the score sheet, but I think he had a game where the effort was there, and he was playing some hard minutes. He seemed noticeable pretty much every shift he was taking. I think in a game where you don't get on the score sheet, if you're looking to take small positives from it, it was that Doc was out there and playing with energy, playing engaged, which is what you want to see from a young player in a season that really doesn't matter at this point. But for him, it's part of his development. I think I think he had a pretty decent game for coming up with 0 points in an 8-goal game.
Yeah, I swear Derek King watched Sunday's post game. I listened to it driving home. We talked about putting Doc on the wing. He's on the wing. We both said that. Yeah, Mackenzie Entwistle's probably sitting the next one out, and that happened. So thanks for checking in, Kinger. We appreciate the viewership. But seriously, no, Doc on the wing is the right move. Let's just keep him there for the rest of the season. These last few games, these last 25, 24 games, whatever it is, it needs to be about building his confidence. It's not necessarily about him scoring goals or getting those assists or getting the points. It's about him getting the confidence. And the game he had tonight is a step in that direction. Yeah, no points, but he played well. He looked good on the wing. Let's get his confidence up heading into the offseason. You can do his offseason training. You can have him take 2,000 face-offs a day during the summer, whatever it takes. But get him feeling good about himself in his game, and then start fresh next September at training camp with a confident Kirby Doc. Sometimes that's all it takes. Look at Dylan Strome, for crying out loud. We're going to beat this dead horse as long as we can, but putting Dylan Strome in a position to succeed has jump-started his season.
Provided results.
We don't necessarily know what the position to succeed for Kirby Doc is. We know it's not center right now. It still could be, but it's not right now. So let's see if he succeeds at that wing. Let's get his confidence up, and then let's start fresh next season. Because he needs to be a part of this rebuild. People love to call him a bust online. That's the easy thing to do. But he's still so young, and he still has so much potential. Now's the time to get that on track.
Yeah, and the confidence and playing consistency, that will then translate into goals and assists and being put in those positions to get the point production. But yeah, having the consistent effort level, having the consistent output from shift to shift, and putting him with Jonathan Toews, a guy who he's not going to have to switch in and take faceoffs for, and a guy like Brandon Hagel who can play a high energy, highly effective 200-foot game. I think that's a line that is perfect for getting Doc's development and confidence on the right track, and getting him moving forward into a more productive and more legitimate top 6 option for the Blackhawks, which I think is, it's still his ceiling. And like you said, he's still very young. We're still finding out exactly what his ceiling is. It might not be as high as we had initially thought, but it's definitely not in that bust territory.
No, you brought up a very good point there about his line mates now with Toews. With Toews and Hagel, he can just worry about Kirby Doc. Jonathan Toews is going to take care of the middle. Hagel's going to create the space, and now he can play his game and build that confidence. That's going to be the key, and I'm going to be definitely keeping our eye out on that these last few games.
The final part of Madeline's question here is, what do you think Philip Kurashev's role will be with the team? Is he a short-term or long-term option? I'll let you start.
I'm a big Philip Kurashev fan. Being able to watch him in Rockford up close a lot the last couple of seasons, I think he's that, no pun intended, that Swiss Army knife type player.
Nice.
Literally that. But seriously, that's what he is. He's that guy that you can plug in kind of anywhere. I think he's another guy that needs that confidence boost. We saw it earlier this year. He got sent down to Rockford for a couple games, went down to Rockford, scored a couple goals, came back, scored in his first game back. Is Kurashev going to be a guy that you're going to lean on to be a goal scorer? No. But he's going to be that guy that plays bottom six, can chip in. I think he could easily be, a 30-point guy on a consistent basis, give you 10 to 12 goals a season. He can kill penalties. He can play those tough minutes and those grind out minutes against your opponent's bottom six guys. So is he going to be a superstar? No. But is he a guy that you should get the chance these next couple seasons to prove that he's part of, the rebuild? Absolutely. I'm a fan of his game, and I think he could be. He's definitely a short-term guy. He shouldn't go anywhere these next couple of seasons. And he's working towards being a long-term guy. We'll see how he progresses next season and possibly the season after that.
He's one of those young players that the Blackhawks are going to have to make a decision about this summer. He's an RFA this off season. I agree. I think he's a player that you bring back. You see what you have in him. He's young. He's had some decent showings in the AHL with the Ice Hogs, and he's been one of Derek King's favorite players from his time in the minor leagues up to the NHL. And yeah, like you said, he had a slow start to the year, got a quick stint in the minors, came back, and it seemed like he was a different player, a more confident player. We keep talking about confidence with these young players. It makes a big difference when you play and you have some consistency in your game.
Confident hockey players are dangerous hockey players.
Absolutely. So yeah, I think too, Philip Kurashev is you're gonna hope to see what you have in him in the next rest of this season and into next season as well. So that's definitely a guy that I have in the plan.
We had our first free Kurashev hashtag.
Free Kurashev.
Our guy Joe Olmo.
I don't know if he's trapped. I don't know if he's trapped
necessarily either. I wouldn't mind being trapped in his situation right now, but that's our buddy Joe out there in Rockford. Does a good job covering the Ice Hogs.
Yeah, I don't know if we need to.
Thanks for checking in, Joe. We appreciate that.
I don't think Philip Kurashev's in the same spot as Brandon Peary or Michael Kempney were.
And thank you, Madeline, for your question.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you,
Madeline,
follows.
For the question. You're one of our most active followers, and we appreciate it. Thank you.
Absolutely. And, I think, speaking of the Ice Hogs, what we saw tonight out of Alec Regula, he came up, was called up today, and got some pretty significant ice time in coming up and being thrown into the lineup today. He was put into the third pairing role with Caleb Jones and got some power play time. I think he's one of those many young defensemen that the Blackhawks are really given an extended look to at this point in the season and seeing what they have in him. What did you think of his game?
I like Alex Regula. I've seen, again, another player I've been able to catch a lot of in Rockford, and he's got that size that the Hawks don't have a ton of on the back end, but he's got a little bit of offense to his game too. So he brings that toughness and the size you still need in this game. I know the trend is to get those little fast guys that skate the puck up the ice, but you still need that beef on the blue line. So he's got that, and I
like how that rolled off the tongue. Beef on the blue line.
That is. That should be a shirt. That's our new hashtag. Beef on the blue line. Makes me hungry. I'm gonna get a cheeseburger on the way home.
There you go.
But I like his game. But he's one of those intriguing guys where you're kind of like, can he be an everyday NHL player? Is he a seventh guy? The Hawks have about 3 or 4 of these guys in the system right now, so they need to use this time to find out. And March 21st, we keep pointing to it. There could be some spots opened up, and it could be a chance for guys like him. Guys like Wyatt Kalynuk is a guy we've seen a lot of. Ian Mitchell, Isaac Phillips, a guy that seems to get overlooked, but I think the Hawks are doing him all the right favors by developing him really slow. Is Nicholas Bodine, another former first-round pick, was picked in the same first round we got Adam Boquist in. He's he's a guy that I think is going to be still a pretty good NHL guy, a defensive defenseman. He's not huge. He doesn't bring a whole lot of beef to the blue line, but he's got that snarl. He leads the Ice Hogs in penalty minutes. That's an accomplishment at the AHL
that's
level.
True.
So, they've got a lot of these guys to you got to find out. And post March 21st is when you find out. Listen, put Seth Jones and Connor Murphy out there, and then go with 4 young guys. It's going to get ugly at times, but you have to do it. It's time.
And you're only going to be doing it for 3 weeks, 4 weeks of the season at that point.
Right.
So
now's the time.
Yeah, now's the time to kind of figure out what you got. Calvin DeHaan, he'll likely be moved.
Right.
We haven't seen Eric Gustafsson play in a couple of games,
Thank
but.
God.
He shouldn't be playing. But it's also like, what are you going to try and move? Are they going to try and move him at all, or is this like we're just going to they're just going to scratch him and leave him out of the lineup?
Yeah, I mean, if there's any trade value at all, I mean,
future considerations.
Yeah,
7th round pick maybe.
A box full of promo night giveaways that it's lying around in the office somewhere.
A couple bobbleheads.
A free bet on points bet.
On points, get him a risk-free bet.
Risk-free bet for Eric Gustafsson.
And a CHGO shirt for his troubles.
No, that's too much. I'll drive him to the airport for that deal.
Yeah, there's going to be some opportunities for these young players, especially on the blue line to get in. And I think Alec Regula made a good use of the ice time he was given tonight, and I think he's one of those guys that could develop into one of those NHL defensemen that kind of have a little bit of everything. The size, he moves well for someone being about 6'4", 200 pounds plus, and we've seen it in his junior days in the OHL and in his early time with the Ice Hogs. He's a guy that can play on the power play, and he saw it a little bit tonight. He was given some power play opportunity. If that part of his game can develop, I think he can be a solid blue liner and definitely someone that the Blackhawks might invest in down the road.
Yeah, he definitely earned to be in the lineup Thursday night in Boston.
Yeah, and
at the very least, give him another game. Let's see how it goes.
Yeah, and we're getting closer to the trade deadline. We're getting closer to the point where you're going to see some of the guys who are on the trade block getting more, show-off time. Yeah. One guy who did absolutely nothing tonight was Dominik Kubalik. He had about 12 minutes of ice time.
I don't recognize that name.
12 minutes of ice time, didn't register a shot on goal. The Blackhawks scored 8 goals. He didn't even get a plus on the night. I wonder what his trade value is, because we keep saying, Dominik Kubalik, he could be, a really great player that a contending team could put on, their second line or their third line. Do we see it anymore? He's
not even shooting the puck.
Is it that the trade rumors are really weighing on him and it's just making him, I don't know, unsure, or he's just, he's figuring out I'm not going to be here. Why give the effort? Like, I really don't know what has happened to Dominik Kubalik, where he's just kind of descended into this guy who's just kind of floating out there.
Yeah, I mean, again, you talk about confidence. Here's a player that has zero confidence and hasn't had much at all this season.
Yeah.
I don't think his trade value is that high right now. This is, we have loved to pile on Stan Bowman for the past few years, and
plenty of reasons.
Rightfully so.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we should treat him like Voldemort, though. He who should not be named, or who. We'll refer him as who.
Right.
This was one of the moves he got right, because a lot of people wanted to give Kubalik that big 5-6 year big time deal, but instead he decided to give that bridge deal, and that's turned out to be the right move, because this could be an anomaly, or the last 2 seasons could have been anomalies. We don't know, but not locking him up to that big long term deal that a lot of people wanted to give him was the absolutely right move, because it's been it's been brutal this year. And I'm a big Dominic Kubalik fan. Hell, I picked him to lead the team in goals this year. I'm an idiot.
It would have been nice.
But everybody was picking DeBrincat Kane. I had to be the different. I mean, look at this shirt. I got to be the different guy. So
little flavor.
I went with the Kubalik because he's got a 30-goal season in the league already. So why not? And that didn't work out so well. So he's definitely a guy that probably needs a change of scenery. He looks lost out there. I mean, he's a goal scorer that's not even shooting the puck. That's a sign of a player that just doesn't know what's going on right now.
Yeah, and I wonder how much, he was. I wonder how much of his breakout season was his, was that really his skill level, or was that a product of playing with probably the last iteration of a fully healthy Jonathan Toews?
Didn't hurt.
Because what we saw last year with Kubalik not playing with Jonathan Toews, it had a decrease, and this year, Toews hasn't been the same, even though he's come back, and he's been paired. The two have been paired on a line at some points this year, but really neither one of them clicking together like they were in 2019 and
Toews
2020.
is struggling. Kubalik is struggling. I think that goes hand in hand. That's definitely got a lot to do with it, because Kubalik's rookie season, Toews was having a great year, before the COVID pause, and even in that short bubble playoff run, they were very good. So that definitely has something to do with it. And never really figuring out where to play him this year hasn't helped either.
No.
He's been all over the place. Third line, fourth line, second line, first line, 11 minutes, 9 minutes, 18 minutes.
Giving him
no consistency. That can't help either. But you got to earn those big minutes. You got to earn those top spots, and he hasn't done that. So, I wouldn't expect him to be on this team come March 22nd, but I'm not expecting to be blown away by any kind of return. At this point, third, fourth round pick if they're lucky.
Yeah, I mean, when the Blackhawks were starting to realize, hey, we're not going to be contending, we're going to be signed at the deadline. He was one of those players that it really felt like, you could get a valuable pick, a valuable prospect, and it's just his trade value has just gone down so far that if they could get one mid-round pick for him, I think that might be what
today that he sees it. They asked him about that today, and he says, social media, you can't get around it. So he sees the chatter. It's obviously affecting him. He can say it's not, but just watch. He's in his own head, and that's not good.
No, and we saw earlier this year Kirby Dach saying that he just stays off social media, and he was definitely a target for people to harp on this year. And
keep staying off of Twitter, Kirby.
Yeah, because since he's done that, he's started to play a little bit better. So I mean, again,
never read the comments. Except from our fans. Our fans are great. We love your comments, of course. But it's those weirdos we don't like reading the comments from.
Absolutely. So it was a big night for the Blackhawks, and it was a big night across the board in the NHL. A very good night to be betting the overs.
Absolutely.
Blackhawks and Ducks combined for 11 goals. Another 11-goal game tonight was between the Arizona Coyotes and the Detroit Red Wings. A 9-2 victory for the last place Arizona Coyotes.
Road victory.
And this game, we were keeping an eye on this one as we were watching the Blackhawks game. This game was just the gift that kept on giving. It was an absolutely wild game, and there are some Blackhawks tie-ins to some former Blackhawks tie-ins to this one. So just a few notes. It started with the first shift of the game. Phil Kessel is out there. Phil Kessel, two-time Stanley Cup champion, living it up.
Should have been a Conn Smythe winner.
Definitely. Hot dog aficionado.
My guy.
He's got his Iron Man streak going. It's behind Keith Yandel for the longest active streak. He's also, I think, he's a handful of games behind setting what the previous record was. He's at 956 consecutive games played. Took the first shift tonight, got a shot on goal, had a 2-on-1 opportunity, almost got a goal on a first shift of the game. Turns out to be his only shift of the game, because as he leaves the bench, he's getting some fist bumps from his teammates, and he's getting off the ice straight onto a charter flight back to Phoenix from Detroit because his wife is in labor with the first child of the Kessel family. So he takes the shift, leaves the game, and goes to be there with his family. So first off, congratulations to the Kessel family on the birth of their first child. And what a wild way to start the game.
So then you think about that. I mean, again, I'll reiterate, congratulations to Phil Kessel and his wife. That's awesome. And to do that. But then the Coyotes just dismantle the Red Wings with 17 skaters after the first shift. That makes that loss even more embarrassing.
Yeah.
Apparently, they swapped goalies and then had to put the starter back in. Like, it was just a nightmare. Boy, that's a shame that happens to Detroit. Man, you really hate to see that.
Yeah, you hate to see that for the Red Wings.
The Red Wings
Yeah,
just get pantsed.
you mentioned it. You saw the stat. This was the second time in the last 5 games that the Red Wings have had to switch out Alex Nedeljkovic for Thomas Greiss. And then Nedeljkovic would have to go back in because Greiss was just as bad or worse.
Yeah. Oh, boy, that breaks my heart.
So that also happened.
I wish they still had Peter Mrazek on that team.
Well, maybe. But so that happens. So Phil Kessel takes the first shift, leaves the game, hops on a private jet back home.
That's just the beginning.
The Red Wings have to switch goalies not once but twice. And then Nick Schmaltz has turned into the second coming of Wayne Gretzky in the last week.
He's Austin Schmaltz.
After having a 7-point night the other night, setting the franchise record for most points in a game for the Arizona Coyotes. He has a 4-point night tonight, so that's 11 points in the last 2 games. In a game where the Coyotes score 9 goals, which is also a franchise record. So it was just an absolutely wild game out in Detroit.
Just think, Dylan Strome was traded for Nick Schmaltz. That trade has been on fire these last few
There's
games.
no losers.
There's
no losers
That's
in that
the
trade.
most dynamic trade in the history of the NHL, at least for the last 3-4 years. Those guys, that trade is looking really good for both teams right now.
Yeah.
Good for Nick Schmaltz. I liked him when he was here. He's a nice little player. He got his big extension, and he's coming into his own. Good for him.
Yeah, good for him.
Just don't do it against the Blackhawks.
Another crazy game tonight was between the Avalanche and the New Jersey Devils. Avalanche get out to a 3-0 lead. They then allow 5 straight goals, and the Devils get a 5-3 win. This was the first time that the Avalanche this season had lost after leading in the first period. They were 23-0-0 this season before tonight. And this is also the first time after having a 3-goal lead in regulation, having a 3-goal lead that the Avalanche had lost in regulation since 2018. So another weird result tonight between the Devils and the Avalanche. So shout out to the DNVR crew back in Denver.
I'm sure their post-game show was a little more dramatic than ours.
Yeah, a rough way to end the night, but they were probably still happy about getting Russell Wilson earlier today.
Yeah, I bet you the Avs DNVR post-game was a little loose after that trade. We'll just say that.
And you mentioned Austin Matthews, Austin Schmaltz. What did you say?
I call it Austin Schmaltz.
Austin Schmaltz, yeah. Austin Matthews tonight for the Toronto Maple Leafs. We were talking about them earlier. He gets a hat trick in a 6-4 win over the Seattle Kraken.
He's good. I hear he's good.
He's not bad. He's on pace for 63 goals this season.
That's pretty good last time I checked.
On pace to lead the NHL in goals for the second consecutive season. That would make him the first U.S.-born player to lead the NHL in goals in consecutive years. We don't want to turn into a Leafs podcast here. There's plenty of those out there, but
I don't need another one of those.
A pretty impressive night for young Austin Matthews.
He's an elite player. I just wish he'd get rid of that mustache.
I think the mustache is part of the success.
It just makes him look like he drives a windowless van around town. Just get rid of the mustache.
Yeah, so it was an absolutely fitting night for the Blackhawks to have an 11-goal game and score 8 of them.
Somebody put the NHL on rookie mode tonight. That's what happened. Look at the scores all around the league. I mean, it's somebody put the settings to rookie mode, and we got to benefit from it. A lot of fun games, including that big Blackhawks win. So let's hope we can see them build off of that. They're going to be stepping up in class. on the road in Boston. They're a team that's a playoff team. They're fighting with those Maple Leafs for third place and not have to face one of the division winners come playoff time. So that's a step up in class, big time for the Blackhawks to go from the Ducks to the Bruins. That's a nice 6 o'clock start. I love those. I'm going to start. I'm going to sound like Eddie O. I love them 6 o'clock starts. But
we're going to get a few 6 o'clock starts.
I love it. I love it. Now that we got to do these wonderful live post game shows, they could all start at 6 o'clock for all. We'll be here right after that game too. So watch the Bruins and Blackhawks from Boston, starting at 6, and then head over to YouTube, the CHGO Sports YouTube channel right after. Mario and I will be back to talk about hopefully back-to-back wins and a major upset. That would be a lot of fun. I don't like the Bruins either. So anytime a Boston team can lose, I'm a happy guy. We don't have a Boston site yet, so I can talk smack.
No. And speaking of Boston and the Bruins, I'm going to bring up the St. Patrick's Day events of the Blackhawks tonight, making that connection. They were wearing their St. Patrick's Day warm-ups.
Not so much.
Usually those jerseys are pretty I don't know, they go on the clearance rack pretty quickly.
Yeah. That's a very small target audience right there.
And this year's iteration of the jerseys, I'm not sure if people caught them on social media or early on the broadcast, but they were obviously, the green, multi shades of green on the torso and on the arms, and then the numbers were orange, with the lettering on the chest and the back. But then they were I think they were white with an outline of orange on the sleeve. Just a lot going on.
It was a busy jersey, and none of it was good. None of it was good.
Oh, it was just those jerseys are usually not great, and this was one of them that was just
on a day you release those amazing throwback starter jackets, then you trot out this
follow
this atrocity.
You follow it up with the with the St. Patrick's Day uniforms.
But
it's not great.
Free hat night and someone gets a hat trick. I love when that happens.
Perfect.
I love when that happens. I'll never forget the game I was at early in the dynasty, the hard hat night, when Jonathan Taves had 2 hat tricks, had it taken away, and then scored a third goal when you saw 10,000 officially OSHA-approved construction helmets flying from the 300 level. Guess what? That promo never happened again. But that's one of my favorite Blackhawk memories of all time. So I love when guys get hat tricks on free hat night. It's perfect. Lots of green hats on the ice tonight. And then the 3 stars got to wear them. I bet you. Does Dylan Strome?
Yeah.
Dylan Strome doesn't get the hat trick. Do those guys come out in the hats? I doubt it. They had 5,000 laying in the tunnel.
Yeah. Hopefully they're not ones that were on the ice and they picked them up used.
You never know. You got to cut corners any way you can when you're rebuilding.
I still can't believe it's our first ever W here. We only said hop on the ride one time.
I said it twice. You must have missed it. You've been busy back there, Joe. Yes.
Well, let's get another one on there. Hop on the ride.
Let's hop on the ride. It's much easier to hop on the ride after a win like today. Let's see if this ride doesn't get derailed against those big bad Bruins on Thursday night.
Absolutely. And if you want to hop on the ride, you can also support CHGO by downloading the PointsBet app using the promo code CHGO when you sign up. And if you make a $50 or more first-time deposit, you'll receive a free CHGO membership, which unlocks all of our web content, and you'll even get a free shirt of your choice from the CHGO locker. Again, if you have any questions, you can email us at pointsbet@allchgo.com, and we'll be happy to help you. Remember that PointsBet is your home for live in-game betting. They have the new exclusive feature, Live NBA Same Game Parlays. For the first time ever, build the perfect live same-game parlay only with PointsBet. Combine your favorite bets anytime during the game. And now, in case you missed it, online sign-up is available in Illinois. You can download the PointsBet app right now, register your account from start to finish, all from your phone. And again, use the promo code CHGO when you sign up, and you get 2 risk-free bets for up to $2,000. So what are you waiting for? Once the game starts, don't just bet. Live your bet life with PointsBet. Gambling problem, call 1-800-522-4700. So, Greg, as we wrap this up, we look forward to the Boston Bruins on Thursday. and then the Ottawa Senators on Saturday. So we go from team fighting in the wild card to team fighting for the first overall pick. I feel like, I don't want to jinx it, and we can clip this if I jinx it, but
get ready
I
to
feel
clip
like
this,
we are going to run into a situation where the Blackhawks have a spirited effort against the Bruins, and it becomes some sort of close, hard-fought game, and then we go into Saturday, and it's in Ottawa, and it's just, we're just going to get, I don't know, just some wacky, awful game where like Ottawa gets out to like a 4-0 lead, and it's just like, where, what happened?
I kind of agree with that. It seems that the Hawks play up to their competition and then play down to their competition. It's kind of why they're stuck in the middle right now. Yeah, you would think a loss to the Bruins and beat the Senators, but watch them do the complete opposite. So it'll be fun, and we're gonna have 2 post-game shows to talk about it. So busy first week of Blackhawks hockey here at CHGO. I love it. I love it. I love these 4-game weeks.
Yeah, it keeps you busy.
Absolutely.
Keeps you busy, keeps you on your toes.
We're going to be dying for one of those, no matter how bad it is, come late August.
Absolutely. And before we go, one more stat to add to the wild night in the NHL. Alex Ovechkin, 2-goal night, ties Jaromir Jagr with 766 career goals for 3rd all time. So Ovechkin continues his hunt to break Wayne Gretzky's record. So
good stuff. 2 of the all-time greats right there.
Big night in the NHL. Big night for the Blackhawks. That'll do it for the CHGO Blackhawks podcast. The first victorious CHGO Blackhawks podcast as they beat the Ducks 8-3. For Greg Boysen, I'm Mario Tirabassi. We will see you next time.